Hello everyone, my name is Lorthorn and welcome to every magic armor perks enchantment enhancement for Ars Nouveau. The magic perks in Ars Nouveau are enchantments or boosts you can add to the various different sets of armor found within the mod of Ars Nouveau. All the information on these perks and armors are found in Armors and Perks in the Worn Notebook. It's a little bit confusing though. If you click on Magic Armor, and then look at the thread slots, this is the full explanation. Now, how the breakdown basically works is each armor has 3 different tiers. You can upgrade armor into tier 1 at the base, that's where it starts. Tier 2 is 1 upgrade, tier 3 is 3 upgrades. At each tier, they have these thread slots that they can be filled. So for this armor, for the hat, it has a level 1 thread slot at level 1, then the chest piece has a level 2 thread slot at level 1. Each tier they go up, they get an additional thread slot and potentially an improvement. So this can now get a tier 3 thread slot, as you can see here. And each one is different. This armor set, being the Sorcerer armor set, is the best for getting these improved slots. The middle of the road is the Arcanist set, which is the coolest looking set, which it doesn't get quite as good thread slots, but has better armor than the Sorcerer armor. And then finally the Battle Mage gear has the worst. It gets all these low level tier 1 slots, but it has the most armor overall without the enchantments to it. Now, I did cover how to upgrade armor in my how-to video of Ars Nouveau, but we're going to look at that again. To upgrade any of these sets, you put 2 blaze rods onto the pedestals for level 1 and then the gear, and that shall bring it from tier 1 to tier 2 armor, improving the amount of mana it gives you and the amount of mana regen it also provides. Then to upgrade it to tier 3, you have to add 2 ender pearls and some chorus fruit to the enchanting apparatus pedestals, add the tier 2 armor, and it'll be turned into tier 3 armor. At tier 3, you will see that it has those empties in them, so those are empty tier 2 thread holders and empty tier 1 thread holders. To make magic threads, what you first require is some blank thread. Blank thread can be made in a crafting table with 6 mage bloom and 3 gold nuggets. This will make 1 blank thread. Then you have an enchanting apparatus. You surround it with the required ingredients. So this here is 2 water essence and 4 fish of any kind. And then when we have all that in there, we can add the magic threads to the middle of the enchanting apparatus, and it will create the magic thread of Threads of the Depth. Now, to apply the magic threads to a piece of clothing, you need an alteration table. The alteration table is made by combining a scribe's table with 4 mage bloom fibers inside a crafting table. Then you put the alteration table down, and to use it, first you right click on the right side with the piece of armor you want to have modified with magic threads. Then you put the magic threads onto the display with the numbers, and it will go to the highest available tier to modify it. And that is how you modify the magic armors with adding magic threads. So each different tier you can apply a higher level. So the tier 1 has tier 1 depths, tier 2 has tier 2 depths, and tier 3 has tier 3 depths. If we look at the table, it has tier 3 available at the top, tier 2 available in the middle, and tier 1 available at the bottom. What's more is not only can you add these modifications such as the depths enchantment, which helps you breathe underwater, you can then further proceed to enchant these items beyond just modifying them. So this here has tier 3 depths and protection 2, and all of them sort of stack together and interact, so you have highly enchanted armor and also modified armor at the same time. First level of depths improves your water breathing for extended period, but it's not great. The second tier of depths will make it so you can breathe underwater a lot longer, so you can spend a huge amount of time underwater. And finally, the third tier of depths allows you to fully swim underwater and just completely breathe down there, never drowning, and it greatly increases your swim speed like there's a dolphin nearby. Now you may be thinking, okay, so why not just stack all these? So I can have depth 3, then I can have depth 2, then depth 1 on a piece of gear. Well, besides that being pointless in the fact that one gives you unlimited breathing, it actually doesn't quite work like that. I will get that by looking at the next modification. So the next modification we're looking at is the modification of Thread of High Step. Now, what Thread of High Step at tier 1 will do is it makes it so when you walk into a block that is 1 high, you automatically get teleported up. You can guess that the next one will teleport you up 2. So now we can automatically go up 2. And then finally we take the third one, and that's high step 3. High step 3 will teleport us up 3 steps. However, if we have this one here with high step 3, high step 2, and high step 1, and we put it on, we actually don't get high step 5, we don't even get high step 3 or high step 2, we get high step 1. So what is occurring here is that it looks at the modifiers on your piece of gear, and it gives you the lowest modifier of the enchanted thread if you have duplicates. So you will only get the high step 1. It basically goes in a reverse order. What's more is this multiple threads applies to having on different sets of armor. If we have step up 3 on a headpiece and we have step up 3 on a body piece and we wear them together, we'll actually get a warning message saying armors equipped that contain perks you already have will only be receiving the effect of the perks once. So we don't get a higher level of step up, we still only have step up 3. So having duplicate modifiers on your armor does nothing, so you should have a wide diversity and also never repeat tiers on any set of armor. So you should spread out basically as much as possible and never do repeats. Okay, got that? Good. Onwards to the modifiers. Modifier of the Whirly Spurl. The modifier of the Whirly Spurl makes it so when you eat food, you eat more of it. Food gives you additional saturation, so now we get 30% saturation from these cookies, which doesn't mean we'll actually get higher bars, but it means the food will last for longer. Then the tier after that of Whirly Spurl will give you 60% saturation. So now these cookies will last even longer if we were to eat them, increasing the saturation level for us. And the final tier will be 90% saturation, or the 100% they fully went for it, just give you that extra 10% for free. So now food gives you 90% saturation, meaning it will last 100% saturation, meaning it will last you that much longer and be that much more filling for you to eat, so your food lasts longer when you're running about from eating it. The thread of the Dragamy improves your chance of looting. This also stacks with other looting already existing on enchantments, but when on the armor, it increases your looting per tier. So Dragamy tier 1 will give you kind of looting 1. It's not 100% looting 1, but it increases your chance of getting good loot. So nothing there really to see from that, which is one of the problems with improved loot. Then Dragamy 2 will give you looting 2 potentially in the hypothetical that it is scales on looting 1, 2, and 3. And then Dragamy 3 will give you the highest tier of looting, and so we should get even better chances of the zombies dropping lots and lots of flesh. Thread of Heights increases your jump height and also increases how far you can fall. Heights 1 will make it so you can jump over a fence. Heights 2 makes it so you can jump 2 blocks high. And Heights 3 makes it so you can jump 3 blocks high. Also, while this would normally give us fall damage, it no longer does because we have the Heights 3 on. Threads of Spell Power increases our spell power, specifically the amount of spell damage we do. The self-harm spell does about that much damage to us. If we then wear one of these higher levels, when we cast a spell, it should increase the damage we receive. As you can see, it increased it by about 1. If we cast it with spell power tier 2, it increases it to 4 hearts of damage. And finally, power 3 will increase the damage to dealing a huge whopping amount there. Final one seems to increase it by a full 2 hearts. So it increases it by 4 damage, where the other 2 is 1, then 2, then 4. So it's quite the big improvement. The Thread of Life Drains makes it so whenever you hurt a target with a spell, you heal for a certain amount of damage you dealt, making it 20% of the health you receive per level of the drain. So this first tier is a rather small amount of healing. Then on tier 2 is about 1 heart. And finally, tier 3 of drain should heal us 1.5 hearts. Which it does. Excellent. The Thread of the Starbuckle will increase your movement speed. Each tier increases your movement speed by 20%. Tier 1 will give you 20% faster move speed, giving you a slight change in POV and making you run slightly faster. Tier 2 will give you a 40% move speed increase. And then finally, Tier 3 gives you a 60% move speed increase. The Thread of Chilling applies cold effect to the target, making it inflict freezing for 10 seconds per level. Then at tier 3 it inflicts freezing 2, presumably for 30 seconds. As you can see, he is slowly shivering death there from the effect of that spell. Next tier should make him shiver a little bit longer. And the final tier should be pretty severe shivering, making freezing effect 2 pretty nasty thing to have applied to you. So that should be a good way to deal with him, slow his movement, and mess with his POV. Next we have the Thread of the Undying. This thread only works as a tier 3 thread, so don't bother putting it at tier 2 or tier 1. What this thread does is it nullifies a single death, much like a Totem of the Undying. So we'll pop that on there. We now have Thread of Undying, and if we make it so the spell harms ourselves, it should prevent 1 death. Now, every single time your death is prevented from the Thread of Undying, you'll receive a message saying that this will reset the next time you sleep. You can, however, skip this process by taking the Thread of Undying out of the enchantment and throwing it back in there, and then it does a complete hard reset without needing you to sleep. So you can go ahead and die as many times as you want via abusing this combination, which might be hard to program into mix, but it is a good thing to know if you want to abuse it. The Thread of Feather makes it so you can fall further, reducing damage you take from falling, and this can be enhanced with fall enchantments as well. Ergo, they stack. At a base, this fall will deal 2 hearts of damage to us. With level 1 Feather, it will deal 1.5 hearts of damage. With level 2, it'll deal 1 heart of damage. And finally, at max level, it deals only 0.5 heart of damage. This fall being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks high. The Thread of Warding. This reduces the amount of magical damage you'll receive. As we know, at a base, this deals 5 damage. With Warding 1, we'll take only 2 damage. Warding 2 will also make it so we only take 2 damage. And finally, Warding 3 also makes it so we only take 2 damage. Although that applies Warding 6, apparently. How odd. Okay, we also have no idea how warding works, so we will pretend that I explained that one to everyone, and just assume it makes you more magic resistant. Okay, deal, great. The Thread of Gliding is another enchantment that can only be applied to a tier 3 thread slot, and it is basically a Elytra, but enchanted onto your armor. What's very good about it, however, is not only does it not take up a chest slot to have equipped, but also it doesn't use up the item's durability while gliding. So it gives you an unlimited Elytra that doesn't use up an armor slot to have. The Thread of Immolation makes it so you consume fire underneath you and also deal additional damage from consuming that fire. Fire still hurts you, however, it will put out the fire on you and underneath yourself, and it'll give you the immolation effect. This also makes it so fire spells deal additional damage if they happen to have fire applied to them. Each tier improves the amount of an immolation enchantment you have applied to yourself. That now being Immolation 2. And tier 3 Immolation will make it so you apply 3 tiers of Immolation upon hitting the target. It does require you to be on fire though to cast, which makes it kind of a strange spell. The Thread of Emesis Golem reduces knockback, granting 15% knockback per level. It also shows a little knockback thing on your armor that is now activated. If you want to increase your takiness or receive less knockback, then this armor is a good idea to have. However, I often find that actually receiving knockback, except in very specific situations, in Minecraft is actually a good thing as it gets you out of harm's way. So knockback reduction, in my mind, unless you're fighting on cliffs or whatnot, is actually a rather bad thing to have. But that is just my own opinion on the matter. The Thread of Magic Capacity increases your magic capacity, basically increasing your max mana by 10% per level. Tier 1 will increase us by plus 10%, Tier 2 will increase us by plus 20%, and finally Tier 3 will make our max mana plus 30%. Now something else to add on to that is each tier of armor increases your max mana already. So a Tier 3 on Tier 3 armor gives you a huge amount more mana to play around with. The Thread of Kindling lights your target on fire for 5 seconds per level, even if it's not a fire spell to begin with. So our basic harm spell will now immolate the target for 5 seconds. Kindling 2 will make it so he'll be kindled for 10 seconds once his burn ends. This seems to be lasting a lot longer, maybe because he's a zombie. And then the final tier will be burning them for 15 seconds, apparently, although it seems, as I said again, it will last a lot longer than that, so it could be that the effect is applied for that certain amount of time. The thread of Wixie makes it so potions apply longer, or should I say last longer. It is 15% per level of Wixie. So at a base, this should give us water breathing for 8 seconds, but with the 15 seconds longer duration, it is now 9 plus 12 seconds. Each level should increase this duration. Level 2 being 30%, so now we should get our enchantment for 10 seconds, and then the final will be for a 45% potion duration increase. Wixie Familiars also increase the duration, meaning that if you happen to have a Wixie Familiar added onto this, you could get a fairly long duration to your potions. So we are at 10 seconds there. If we drink this potion, if it overrides those 10 seconds, now we have 11. With a Wixie Familiar here, then that duration will be increased all the way to 14 seconds. Finally, the threads of repairing. These make it so your armors repair themselves at a small cost of mana. Each one additional level makes it so that items repair slightly faster. This perk also applies to all items in your inventory, not just the item that has itself threaded. So now our other gear should slowly repair over time. And as well, this will repair slowly over time. I don't remember how to get the broken down detail, though, of how much the armor has. Advanced tooltips are now on. There we go. So now we can see the armor has a durability of 271, and that should slowly repair. And yeah, he saw a little bit of mana get used up there. Tier 2 repair should increase this rate of repair that it receives. Instead of repairing faster, though, it repairs by a greater amount. So it's repairing by about 3 per repair cycle instead of repairing by 2. And so we can presume that Tier 3 will repair itself by a leap of either 4 or 3. Tier 3 appears to repair it by about 4 per repair tick. Try saying that 5 times fast. That is a nightmare sentence to say. And that is all of the threads and armor enchantments and how all that works. So I hope you found that useful to some extent, or amusing, or whatever it may be. The threads are a little bit confusing, to be perfectly honest. Just apply which ones you want. Apply only 1 per set of armor that you wear in total. Don't have any stacking. Get the ones that appeal to you, and then enchant your magic armor at the same time, and you will be a very powerful wizard for it. Alright, that's all from me for today, so thanks again for watching, and I will catch you all next time, where we're either going to cover all the magic items, cover all the spells, which will probably be a little bit of a long video. It won't be every spell combination, or rather every single spell component, or we will be covering Baldur's Gate 3, but that will be whenever that is. So until then, thanks and good day. And also there is streaming, apparently it's happening now on my channel. And maybe it'll still be happening by the time this video comes out, or by the time you watch it. Either way, enjoy, good day, goodbye, and as always, thanks for watching.